The Prince. What Machiavelli knew about power. The game you're already playing. Good morning. Today we're talking about something most people don't want to admit. Exists. Power dynamics. They're in your workplace, in your relationships, in every interaction you have. Every single day. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Whether you acknowledge them or not, whether you participate or not, you're already in the game. The only question is, are you playing to win? Or are you pretending the game doesn't exist while everyone else makes their moves? 500 years ago, an Italian diplomat named Niccolò Machiavelli wrote a book called The Prince. It was a manual on power, on strategy, on how the world actually works when you strip away all the pleasant lies we tell ourselves. And people hated it. They called it evil, immoral, manipulative. Because Machiavelli said the quiet part out loud. He said, the world doesn't reward the nicest person. It rewards the most strategic one. He said, good intentions without power accomplish nothing. Power without good intentions accomplishes everything. He said, if you want to change the world, if you want to protect what matters to you, if you want to build something that lasts, you need to understand how power actually works, not how you wish it worked. And 500 years later, everything he wrote is still true, because human nature hasn't changed. The person who gets promoted isn't always the hardest worker. It's the one who understands office politics. The leader people follow isn't always the most qualified. It's the one who understands influence. The business that survives isn't always the one with the best product. It's the one that understands strategy. Power dynamics are real, and ignoring them doesn't make you noble. It makes you vulnerable. So today, we're going to talk about what Machiavelli understood. Not so you can manipulate people, not so you can become ruthless or unethical, but so you can be effective, so you can protect yourself, so you can navigate the world as it actually is, not as you wish it were. Because here's what nobody tells you. Being naive isn't the same as being good, and being strategic isn't the same as being evil. You can be a good person and still play the game well. In fact, if you're a good person, you have a responsibility to play well, because when good people refuse to engage with power, bad people win by default. So let's talk about what Machiavelli knew and how you use it today, not to hurt people, but to win. The principle. Principle 1. It's better to be feared than loved, but never hated. Machiavelli's most famous line, and the most misunderstood. People think he's saying, be a tyrant, be cruel, make people afraid of you. That's not what he meant. Here's the full context. If you have to choose between being loved and being respected, choose respect. Because love is fickle, love is conditional, love can turn to hate overnight. But respect is based on something more solid. Competence, consistency, consequences. People don't have to like you, but they need to respect you. In your workplace, this means don't try to be everyone's friend. Be someone people can count on. Be someone who delivers results. Be someone who keeps their word. You don't need your co-workers to love you. You need them to know that when you say you'll do something, it gets done. When you set a boundary, it holds. When you make a decision, you stand by it. That's not being mean. That's being reliable. And here's why this matters. When decisions need to be made, when pressure is high, when things go wrong, people don't follow the person they like. They follow the person they trust to handle it. That's respect. But Machiavelli also said, never be hated, because hatred is dangerous. Hatred makes people irrational. Hatred makes enemies. So here's the balance. Be firm, but fair. Set boundaries, but don't be cruel. Hold people accountable, but don't humiliate them. Be strong, but not vindictive. You can be tough without being an asshole. And that's the key. Because respect without hatred, that's power that lasts. Principle 2. Appear virtuous, but be practical. Machiavelli said, a prince must appear merciful, faithful, humane, religious, and upright. But he must be ready to act opposite when necessary. Now, before you think this is about being fake, let me clarify. He's not saying pretend to be good while being evil. He's saying idealism without pragmatism is useless, and pragmatism without ideals is dangerous. You need both. In your life, this means have principles, but don't be so rigid that you can't adapt to reality. Let me give you an example. You believe in honesty. Good. Honesty is important. But if your boss asks, what do you think of my presentation? And it was terrible. You don't say, that was garbage. You say, I think there's room to strengthen the data section. That's not lying. That's being strategic about how you deal. That's being strategic about how you deliver truth. Because here's what Machiavelli understood. Your values don't matter if you can't implement them. And you can't implement them if you alienate everyone around you. So yes, have integrity, have principles, have values, but be smart about how you express them. Don't be the person who's technically right, but practically useless. Be the person who's principled and effective. Because the world doesn't reward martyrs. It rewards people who win while keeping their integrity intact. Principle 3. Control the narrative. Machiavelli said, people judge by appearances and outcomes, not by the reality of what happened. Translation, perception is reality. You can do incredible work, make brilliant decisions, solve massive problems. But if nobody knows about it, it didn't happen. This is uncomfortable for a lot of people, because we're taught that good work speaks for itself. It doesn't. You know who else does good work? The person you've never heard of who got passed over for promotion, while the loud, less competent person got the job. Because that person controlled the narrative. In your career, this means document your wins, share your progress. Make sure the right people know what you're doing, not in an obnoxious way, not in a bragging way, but strategically. Send that update email. Mention your project in the meeting. Make sure your boss knows what you contributed, because if you don't control your narrative, someone else will, and their version might not include you. Machiavelli understood. It's not enough to do great things. People have to know you did them. So stop being silent about your value. Your work might be excellent, but if it's invisible, it's worthless. Control your narrative. Tell your story. Make sure people see what you're building. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're strategic. Principle 4. Be the fox and the lion. Machiavelli said, a prince must know how to be a fox and a lion. The lion cannot protect himself from traps. The fox cannot defend himself from wolves. So you must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. This is about knowing when to be clever and when to be forceful. Some situations require strategy, some require strength, and you need to know the difference. Let's say someone at work is trying to undermine you. They're spreading rumors, taking credit for your work, playing political games. The lion response, confront them aggressively, call them out publicly, fight back. The fox response, document everything, build alliances quietly, position yourself so their behavior becomes obvious to others. Let them hang themselves with their own rope. Which one works? Depends on the situation. If you're dealing with a direct threat and you have the power to shut it down, be the lion, fast and decisive. If you're dealing with someone politically connected who could retaliate, be the fox, smart and patient. Here's the key. Most people are only one or the other. They're always aggressive, the lion, and they make unnecessary enemies. Or they're always cautious, the fox, and they never seize opportunities. You need to be both, and you need to know when to be which. In negotiations, be the fox, patient, strategic, read the room. In execution, be the lion, decisive, bold, make things happen. In conflict, assess. If you can win cleanly, be the lion. If it's complicated, be the fox. Machiavelli understood. Strength without strategy is recklessness. Strategy without strength is impotence. You need both. Principle 5. Injuries. All at once, benefits little by little. This is one of Machiavelli's most brutal pieces of advice, and one of his most practical. He said, if you have to inflict pain, do it all at once. Get it over with. Let people adjust. Let the wound heal. But if you're giving benefits, space them out. Give people time to appreciate each one. Let gratitude build. Why? Because people have short memories for good things and long memories for bad things. In your life, this applies to difficult conversations. If you need to give someone critical feedback, don't do it piecemeal. Don't bring up one thing this week, another thing next week, another thing the week after. That's death by 1,000 cuts. It creates ongoing tension. People never get a chance to recover. Instead, have one comprehensive conversation. Lay it all out. Be clear, be direct, be complete. Then, give them space to process and improve. The pain is sharp, but brief, and then it's done. But when you're recognizing someone, when you're giving praise, appreciation, opportunities, space it out. A compliment today, a thank you next week, a new responsibility next month. Let each moment land. Let them feel valued consistently over time. Because one big gesture fades fast, but ongoing, consistent appreciation builds loyalty. This isn't manipulation. It's understanding human psychology. People need pain to be temporary and benefits to be sustained. So, when you have to be tough once and be done. When you're building someone up, do it steadily over time. Principle 6. Never rely on fortune, but don't ignore opportunity. Machiavelli said, fortune is the arbiter of half our actions, but she leaves the other half to us. Translation. Luck exists, but so does agency. Some things are out of your control. The economy crashes, your industry changes, your boss leaves, life happens. But how you respond, that's on you. And here's where most people get it wrong. They either think everything is luck, so why try? Or everything is in their control, and they burn out trying to force outcomes. Machiavelli understood the balance. You can't control everything, but you can position yourself to take advantage of opportunities when they appear. In your career, this means build skills even when you don't need them yet. Network even when you don't need a job. Save money even when things are going well. Because when opportunity comes, and it will, you want to be ready to seize it. Most people wait until they need something to prepare for it. By then, it's too late. The strategic person prepares during the calm, so they can act during the storm. When the economy is good, build your savings and skills. When your job is secure, build relationships and options. When things are easy, build the foundation for when things get hard. Because fortune favors the prepared, not because the universe cares, but because when opportunity knocks, you're the one ready to answer. Principle 7. Choose your battles. Machiavelli said, a wise prince defends himself with his own arms and never with those of others. But he also said, avoid unnecessary conflicts. Here's what this means for you. You're going to face challenges, conflicts, opposition. That's life, and you can't avoid them all, nor should you. But you need to be strategic about which battles you fight. Some hills are worth dying on, some aren't. And the difference? Whether winning that battle moves you closer to your actual goals. If fighting this fight gets you what you want, fight. If fighting this fight just makes you feel righteous but accomplishes nothing, walk away. Because here's what Machiavelli understood. Your energy is finite. Your political capital is finite. Your time is finite. Every battle you fight costs you something. So make sure the cost is worth it. At work, this means don't argue about every small thing. Don't correct every minor mistake. Don't fight every policy you disagree with. Save your ammunition for the battles that actually matter. When it's about your core responsibilities, your reputation, your team's well-being, your career trajectory, fight. When it's about office politics that don't affect you, preferences that don't matter, egos that aren't your problem, let it go. Because the person who fights every battle loses all of them. But the person who chooses strategically, they win the ones that count. Power with principle. So, here's what Machiavelli understood that most people refuse to accept. Power is not inherently evil. Strategy is not inherently manipulative. What matters is what you do with them. A hammer can build a house or break a window. The tool isn't good or evil. The person using it is. The same is true for power dynamics, strategic thinking, and understanding how the world actually works. You can use these principles to hurt people, or you can use them to protect people. You can use them to climb over others, or you can use them to lift others up while you rise. You can use them to manipulate, or you can use them to be effective. The choice is yours. But here's what you can't do. You can't opt out of the game and expect to win. Because while you're sitting on the sidelines being above it all, someone else is making moves. Someone else is building power. Someone else is getting what they want. And if they're not aligned with your values, they're making the world worse. So I'm not telling you to be ruthless. I'm not telling you to abandon your principles. I'm telling you to be strategic about how you implement them. Be good, but be smart about it. Be ethical, but be effective. Be principled, but be pragmatic. Because the world doesn't need more good people who refuse to engage with power. The world needs good people who understand how to use power well. Take this with you today. You're in the game whether you like it or not. The question is, are you playing to win? Are you being strategic about your career, your relationships, your goals? Are you controlling your narrative? Or are you letting others write your story? Are you choosing your battles? Or are you exhausting yourself fighting everything? Are you being the fox when you need to be clever, and the lion when you need to be strong? Machiavelli wasn't evil. He was honest. He looked at how the world actually works and wrote it down. 500 years later, nothing's changed. So stop pretending power dynamics don't exist. Stop thinking that being naive is the same as being good. Stop letting other people play the game while you sit on the sidelines. Be strategic, be smart, be effective, and use that power to make things better. Because the world doesn't need more people who refuse to play. It needs people who play well and win for the right reasons. Now go be strategic today.